Democrats are in the middle of a tough battle to hold on to control of the Senate this fall, with Democratic senators in red and purple states across the country fighting to keep their seats. And that includes Bob Casey of Pennsylvania. He's being challenged by Republican Dave McCormick, and new CNN polling out this week shows it is neck and neck. Manu's not here with us in person today, obviously, but he did travel to the Keystone State this past week, where he hit the trail with both candidates and brought back this report about their critical race.
Hello, Pittsburgh.
Senator Bob Casey is sounding the alarm.
I need your help in this race.
As the three-term Democrat campaigns with Vice President Kamala Harris, Casey is locked in a dead heat against Republican David McCormick.
Hey, how are you?
And about to get swamped by a GOP bombardment on the airwaves.
If the border was secure, chances are my son will be alive today.
Harris and Casey, dangerous radicals.
McCormick and his allies are preparing to spend more than $100 million on air in just the final 2 months of the campaign, more than half from an outside group designed solely to help the Republican, all giving Republicans a roughly $40 million on-air advantage over Democrats, an edge bigger than any other Senate race.
I think I'm the underdog. I don't have a personal super PAC funded by Wall Street billionaires. I don't care what they spend. I'm going to win this race, but it's going to be a really difficult race.
With the West Virginia seat almost certain to turn red, Democrats must hang on to Pennsylvania and 7 other seats simply to keep the Senate at 50-50.
Bob Casey will help us do that.
But a new CNN SSRS poll finds the Casey-McCormick race at a 46-46 tie. And since 2016, the GOP has cut into Democrats' voter registration advantage in the state.
So I'm the underdog, there's no doubt about that. But the reason the race is closing is that Senator Casey is just out of touch with Pennsylvania. He's been a weak senator.
As he stumped in rural Pennsylvania last week, McCormick aligned himself with Donald Trump, up to a point.
Trump had said that he won Pennsylvania in 2020, that it was stolen from him. Do you agree with him?
I don't believe the election was stolen. So President Trump and I don't agree on everything, but we agree on a lot of things.
Do you consider yourself a MAGA Republican?
You know, I consider myself a Dave McCormick Republican. My positions are very much in line with what President Trump has said on policies. I'm a guy that's put America first his whole life.
After serving in the military and then working in the Bush administration, McCormick ran a major hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates. Now fodder for Democratic attack ads like this.
Dave McCormick got rich.
Really rich.
By investing in China.
China.
McCormick defended his tenure.
When you're one of the biggest global investors in the world, 3% of its holdings were in China.
That's a lot of money, though.
That's what we're talking about. There's no global firm in the world that doesn't have exposure to China.
As Casey attacks McCormick's character, the Republican turning his attention to Casey's ties to Harris.
He's voted 98% of the time for Biden-Harris.
Why are you aligning yourself with her?
Well, look, in this state, her campaign already has brought a real lift to the turnout dynamics.
Would you consider yourself a Biden-Harris Democrat?
Oh, I don't put a label on it.
What issues do you break from her on?
Oh, I'm not going to try to itemize issues that we might not have total agreement on.
In 2022, McCormick lost a Senate primary to a Trump-backed opponent, Dr. Mehmet Oz.
Dr. Oz is running against the liberal Wall Street Republican named David McCormick, who I've known.
But now McCormick has been stumping with Trump and was about to go on stage at the July rally where Trump was nearly killed.
Did you ever think back to that day and think that could have been you?
Yeah. I didn't think that at the time. Then I got home that night and talked to all 6 of my daughters, and they were freaked out.
But McCormick's positions in 2022 are inviting fresh scrutiny, including comments at a debate when he did not mention his support of abortion exceptions for rape or incest.
I believe in the very rare instances there should be exceptions for life of the mother.
Dave McCormick praised the Supreme Court.
Now turned into a series of attack ads.
You only talked about life of the mother. Why did you only talk about that?
Well, I said before the debate, after the debate, over and over again that I support all 3 exceptions. In the debate, I didn't say I was against the other exceptions. I simply said that I was for that exception.
You wouldn't codify Roe v. Wade if you had a chance to vote for it, would you?
You know, my position is very clear. I think the state should decide. Voters should decide.
Casey had previously harbored anti-abortion views, including saying this in 2002.
My position has always been a pro-life position. My position has always been the favoring the one exception for the life of the mother.
Now, Casey says the Dobbs decision overturning Roe has changed the dynamic.
But do you still consider yourself pro-life?
I don't think those terms mean much anymore. I really think the choice now before the American people is if you support a ban, which means you support the overturning of Roe and all that comes with it, or you support this right, and I do.
And our thanks to Manu for that story. Our panel is back with us now. And to start with you, when you look at Bob Casey, why do you think he is having a tougher time compared to other Democratic candidates in these tough Senate races who are outperforming the top of the ticket?
I think Pennsylvania is a tough state for Democrats. Bob Casey is always in a tight race every single time. He has advantages, though. The Casey name, his father was in politics, the fact that he's been a senator for quite a while. And I think when you see what they're trying to do on attacking China and abortion, those are going to be two of the big issues that Democrats play over and over again as they try to eke into and continue to try to edge up those numbers on the voting. And they're going to look to Kamala Harris to actually help deliver some of those votes.
Do you think Donald Trump is helping Dave McCormick, Kamala Harris hurting Bob Casey, a combination of both?
What's interesting is this the tente, right, that they have, because given their history in the 2022 midterms when he backed Mehmet Oz, even though McCormick had a slew of former Donald Trump aides on the campaign, it's a calculation, I think, that for Trump, that he could bring McCormick across the finish line. And just looking at some of the swing state polls, most of the other Republicans have been trailing Trump by about 4 or 5 points. He's right there with them, so they're hoping to ride each other's coattails.
Yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania is so key, proving to be key to not just control the Senate, but also the White House.
Yes, and I should declare a conflict of interest here. I'm actually a good friend of David McCormick's wife, Dina Powell, who was, as you know, Deputy National Security Advisor to Donald Trump in his first year. But I do think the fentanyl deaths play into this a lot. There have been 4,000 in Pennsylvania alone in the last year, which is incredibly high. And I know that one of David's ads has really gone viral. It's a local policeman talking about his own son dying from it. And these are really difficult issues to resolve. And you saw there that Bob Casey's got low energy around this. He's talking he's got a squirrely position on abortion and he's low energy.
All right.